Guys, so wanted to go over and answer a few of the homework questions from assignment 0.2 really quickly. I looked at the Google form. 26 of you have filled it out so far. So of those, these are the ones that I picked that had the most responses. By the way, here's my basement room. It's kind of messy, but you know, that's teacher life. So if I ever make videos from home, this is where they will be. I'm going to start with number 20. This one had 6 responses from you guys, so we'll start with there. So start with function composition, g of f of x. So plug f of x into g, so that would be f of x squared, which would be the square root of x minus 2 squared. Square root and square cancel each other out. We get x minus 2. So there's that one. But then it asks us for the domain of this function. Now, domain of function composition is kind of weird. It's kind of funky. The best way I found to explain to think about it is you have to think of the most restrictive domain. So we're going to go through the domain of each part as well as this final one. So the domain of f of x is going to be x greater than or equal to 2. We know that because it's a square root, can't have negatives. Anything less than 2 makes it negative, so we want everything greater than 2. Domain of g of x is x squared. That's all reals. You can put any number into that. And the domain of this f of g of x, oops, I had that switched, didn't I? G of f of x, that's what we're looking at, is x minus 2. And if I just think about x minus 2, that's a linear. Domain of that is also going to be all reals. Now I'm going to look at all 3 of these options and get the most restrictive domain I can. So in this case, x greater than or equal to 2, all reals, all reals. So our domain is going to be x greater than or equal to 2. It's the most restrictive one. So these are the numbers that work for all 3 domains, is another way to think of it. We want which numbers, which x values work for all 3. So let's look at C. H of f of x, plugging f into h of x. So 1 over f of x squared, which would be 1 over square root of x minus 2 squared. Square root and square cancel each other out, which would be 1 over x minus 2. Now we're going to do the same thing. We want f of x, h of x, and h of f of x. Domain of f of x is still x is greater than or equal to 2. Domain of h of x, 1 over x squared. If you graph this, it looks something like that. So this domain is all reals except x cannot equal 0. And if I look down here at h of f of x, right here, 1 over x minus 2, that domain is going to be all reals except x cannot equal 2. I'm good? I think so? So far so good? Okay. So now I'm going to look for the most restrictive domain. So first off, x is greater than or equal to 2. That's restricting the domain from all reals. Next, I'm going to add to that. So when I think about adding to this, so I look at this second one, all reals, x cannot equal 0. Well, if I look at this domain here, x is greater than or equal to 2, doesn't include 0. So we've got that restriction built in. Then we have this second restriction, x cannot equal 2. This domain I currently have includes 2. And I want the most restrictive domain possible. All the number values that work for all 3 of these. So I am going to take out the equals. So if I just have x is greater than 2, those numbers will work for all 3 domain restrictions. So that is the domain that I want for this function. Hope that helps. In the next video, I will do 22 and 34. Oh, I think we had 32 as well. So we'll do 22 and 32.